You're listening to Nurse Converse, presented by Nurse.org, a collaborative podcast amplifying diverse nurse voices. Get ready for a dose of inspiration, a sprinkle of education, and a whole lot of community.
Welcome. My name is Terrin Ramsey, and joining me today is Mrs. Teih Taylor. And Teih is a board-certified family nurse practitioner. She began her educational journey at Grambling State University, where she earned her Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing. Then in 2017, she graduated from Chamberlain University, where she earned her family nurse practitioner degree and is currently practicing at the University of Houston Student Health Center. Teih has been practicing for a little over 11 years now in different areas, including medical surgery, women's services, retail health, home health, and family medicine. When she is not working, she is enjoying her life in her hometown of Missouri City, Texas, with her husband and 9-year-old son. And she enjoys traveling, writing, attending church, and mentoring young women and student athletes. Teih is also a self-published author of 2 books, A Moment with God and the NP Resource Manual, a guide for the new NP. So thank you so much, Teih, for joining us today. And as you know, we are going to discuss all things self-care. And before we get into that, I am also going to share some information that I learned about self-care. So according to the World Health Organization, self-care is defined as what people do for themselves to establish and maintain health and to prevent and deal with illness. So with that resource from the WHO, can you share a little bit about what self-care looks like for you?
Well, thank you for having me. Self-care looks for me taking time for myself monthly to attend my therapy sessions, walking during my lunch breaks between seeing patients in the morning and the afternoon. I recently got into a fitness program,
Yes.
challenging my friends, waking up early before my family wakes up to meditate, to pray, to journal, meal prepping so that I am making sure that I get everything that I need, traveling. So there's so many things that I do intentionally. So self-care to me now means being more intentional about taking the time to get the things that I need for myself before that I can give to other people. So it's
I
been a journey.
love that. Oh my goodness. Like we
Mhm.
have to get into how, okay, like the application of how you're able to do all these amazing things and to put yourself first. I was reading some information from the American Psychiatric Nurse Association, and they listed a checklist of all the things that they feel nurses can and should do to improve their self-care. So, with that, as nurses, we very innately devote ourselves to our patients, to our families. We want to make sure that they are taken care of. Consequently, what that means is that we often neglect ourselves, like the things that we need to do. Like we may not be attending our own doctor's appointments. We may not be making it a priority to have our own therapy and counseling sessions or taking our own trips because we're so busy caring for others. And as the most trusted profession, it's not something that we take lightly. However, it is important that we have a balance. So what they recommend is that as nurses, knowing that we also come to it with a holistic approach of not only including our mind, spirit, and body. So, with that being said, is to find that balance between mind, spirit, and body. So, a few tips that they recommend are schedule self care, just how you mentioned, right? Develop hobbies. I recently started taking some acting classes. So that's been a lot of fun. And you mentioned about like your fitness journey and starting on with that. They also recommend to do yoga, things that you can do at home. YouTube is free. Okay, you can go ahead and do that, as well as unplug. There are times where I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing social media today. I'm not doing LinkedIn. I'm not doing anything. Like my phone is on DNR. Leave me alone. I'm trying to just chill. Like, do not bother me. So, in addition to that, Learning how to say no, because as Pastor Torre said, our yes is expensive. All right. So
Mhm.
learning how to say no allows for me to establish good boundaries while also making room for the things that I truly want to say yes to, whether that's to obligations with family, friends, and colleagues. It's okay to say yes to those things, but also realizing if you're too stretched too thin, you can't attend that birthday party. You cannot go on that trip, sis. It's okay. Like, make that time for yourself. They also mention things about nutrition. So you mentioned that as well. Get moving, go outside. I love to go outside on my lunch break, get some sunlight, meditation, extending that into your workplace, right? So if you know that your goal is to eat healthy, bring a healthy snack for lunch. It doesn't have to be whatever is easily accessible, as well as getting a massage because that reduces tension and stress in our bodies, as well as prioritizing sleep, listening to good music. I love me some lo-fi. Let me get a good lo-fi mix going on, like especially this holiday season. I didn't even know there was a whole Christmas lo-fi mix. I was just jamming. In addition to that, hugging someone. Okay, let me get a nice good hug, because the hugs, actually the physical contact, reduces stress and releases hormones that improves our happiness. Embracing your spirituality. I go to church. I also facilitate small groups, which has been really, really nice. And then I'm also in a group. So when I'm not facilitating a group, I'm in a group as a member to receive that pouring into, as well as to enjoying life. Like, it's just too short, especially knowing that we all have survived this pandemic and going through that, right? So, with some of those things you just mentioned and how you practice your self care, how has it changed over time for you from when you first graduated nursing school to going back to nursing school to being a mom to a wife? Like, what does that look like?
So as we graduated nursing school, everything was yes. Everything. As a new grad, you need me to work an extra shift.
Yeah.
Everything is yes. I could have just worked 3 nights in a row. I'm burnt. I've had a heavy patient acuity, but staffing is
Mm,
low. Can you stay? And at that point in time, I didn't have the confidence to say no. I
mhm,
didn't have the confidence to say, no, I'm actually very tired. I do know that I'm single. I don't have a family yet. So it was yes.
mhm,
So I found myself struggling with setting those boundaries very, very early on, even with family,
mm.
right?
So
So
good.
everybody wants something from you. You get out of nursing school and you're making good money
Mhm.
and everybody wants you to contribute to their wedding,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, I can do it. Yes, 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 yes. I'm on 2 hours of sleep, but yes, I can come to your birthday
Mhm,
party and split a bill with you
mhm.
to celebrate your birthday. I really don't want to be here, but I'm afraid to say no
Mm,
because you want to show up
yeah.
and be supportive of your friends, taking those shifts during the holidays
Mm,
when you want to really be at home, but your colleague is like, I want to be at home. So you work so they can be with their families.
yeah.
So over time, I think that was primarily my problem in my 20s
Mhm.
until I became a parent.
Okay.
And then when you become a parent, you're already putting yourself behind someone immediately.
Mm,
That's kind of hard. And then you have career caregiver burnout,
mhm.
mother burnout, burnout. So you're continuing to go and go and go. So as intentional as it was, once I started therapy, she helped me to realize that no is a full sentence.
Mm,
It doesn't require an explanation. No, I'm not coming. In the back of my mind is because I'm tired,
yeah.
because I want to lay on my couch and do for me first. I'm making sure that it feels well with me before I say yes.
Mhm.
Am I okay with this? Do I really want to do it?
Yeah.
If I don't, then that's just it.
Mhm.
So over time, creating those boundaries has really, really helped me to become even a better provider. I'm not going to see this patient. This patient needs to see a
Mm,
specialist. I'm not going to take on something that I feel will be a detriment to my patient because someone else wants me to take on something that I don't feel comfortable with. I have to protect my licensure. I have to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do. So over time, you just have to develop a strong sense of
mhm.
self and what it is that you want. And the biggest mantra that I live on now is we're only here for one time. Once that's it, that's
That's
it.
it. Yes.
You don't get any redos.
Mhm.
And my therapist, she told me that. She said, if you have to go every single day feeling the way that you feel right now, can you do it? I
Mhm.
said no. So what can we change to make you feel the way that you need to feel prior to all of these titles, NPC, nurse, mom, wife.
Mm-hmm.
You are you before any of
Yeah.
that. What makes you feel fulfilled and full before you can even give of yourself to someone else? And that has been the game changer
Mm.
for me. It has to sit well. It has to sit well with me, 100%.
I love sit well with me. I love that.
Mhm.
Did you ever struggle with like taking on the responsibility of someone else's expectation and response? So for instance, you're like, "Hey, I really want to come to your birthday dinner, but girl, I just worked 3 shifts back to back. I'm tired. I just really want to relax because I'm picking up another shift for a colleague the next day and I want to relax." And they say, "Well, no, I really want you to come." And then you feel guilty because instead of them saying, "Okay, I understand, enjoy, get rest," it was like, "Well, no, I need you." And feeling like you have to succumb to their needs. Did you ever experience that from like family or friends?
Absolutely. In one incident in particular, I can remember I had a friend that was turning 30.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be there for her. However, I would have had to drive from Houston to Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a sitter for that weekend for my son, so I would have to take my child with me. I drove through what seemed like a tornado,
Mm. Goodness.
hydroplaned, and wrecked my car. It was in a ditch,
What?
trying to get her cupcakes for her 30th birthday. So I was so stressed that in the process of doing all of that, I forgot my clothes. So I ended up having to wear
First-
her clothes to her birthday. And my car was in the shop because I messed up my front end
Mm.
because it hydroplaned in a ditch. So of course you say no and it doesn't sit well, but then you find yourself on the back end of it regretting the fact that you just didn't stand on what you said.
Yeah.
And they can be disappointed. Now I'm in a place, and as you start to get older and more wiser, I would much rather you be upset with me than me be
I'm
upset with you.
telling you, listen, because that's not gonna
Okay?
happen.
That's what's going to happen. And then you're putting yourself behind someone else's expectations. And then you also have to realize if the shoe was on the other foot,
Mm-hmm.
would it be reciprocated? And once you start realizing that you're overextending yourself so
Mm-hmm.
much to other people, but when it's time for people to show up for you, it's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No is a full, complete
Mm-hmm.
sentence, no commas.
Yes, I love that. I love that. All right. So, can you share how setting boundaries with family, friends, colleagues has allowed you to now be in a place where you can practice self care and what that looks like?
Setting boundaries has again been a game changer, and that is something that I've worked more on within the last 5 years, especially when you are a practicing nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure that even your company that you work for understands what you can and can't do, because a lot of people don't really understand the scope of practice of nurse practitioners. I'm legally allowed to do this, I cannot do this. And that has been better for me because I'm protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking of an instance where I ended up leaving a job. I've never done this before. I've always been a quality employee, but during the pandemic, it made us take a hit. We were in the process of trying to figure out exactly what COVID was,
Mm-hmm.
but you're literally putting yourself in these facilities. We don't know what it is, but a lot of the companies were looking at money.
Yeah.
And I'm tired. I'm tired. I am wearing this N95 over and over again. I have to go home. At this point, my child had just started kindergarten, so I'm going home and I'm homeschooling.
Mm.
So setting those boundaries are important for us in general. So I think for me in my home setting, now setting boundaries is I'm having to set boundaries with my family. Hey, at 9 o'clock p.m., I'm going upstairs. I'm going to work out. If the door is closed, allow me that time. When I come home from work, please don't bombard me. Give me at least 5 to 10 minutes to put my bag down, take my coat off,
Mm-hmm.
use the restroom, drink some water before I have to help with
Yeah.
homework, before it's honey, what's for dinner, before, hey, get your baseball stuff. It's time to go to the field. I need that minute to kind of reset from my job
Yeah.
into the role of wife and mom. And for many women, if you've ever seen women say, hey, sitting in your driveway in your car is self-care,
Yeah.
because the moment they hear the motor for the garage,
Mm.
my son will meet me at the door. And a lot of times kids don't
They
understand
just excited.
that. I don't know if it's excited, but sometimes they don't understand that you're a person too. So I have to, and that was a thing, like, hey, you have to teach your son
Mhm.
boundaries. Mom needs this time. If I'm in the restroom, please don't knock on the door.
Mm.
If you see me praying, it's not a time to ask, can you have a snack?
Mhm.
So it's constant reminding people, let me stop you here.
Mhm.
I can't. Give me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not being disrespectful. It's just, let me stop you before you ask something of me. Here's where we pause,
Mhm.
and let me tell you what I need first. And then we can circle back. And then whatever it is that you need from me, I'll be able to go ahead and do that. Yes, I can call XYZ to ask about XYZ.
Mhm.
After it is, I get me something to eat because I hadn't eaten lunch today. I had to work through my lunch, and explaining to people and not just saying, okay, sure. Okay, sure. That's not who I am anymore.
Yeah. No, I love that. And for me, I'm single, no children. So I don't have like that, oh, when I get home, let me set this boundary. But I do have aging parents. And my
Mm-hmm.
mom has gotten to the point where she will call me for any and everything. It could be, oh, are you watching Housewives or Sisters? To, oh, well, I got a letter in the mail. Can you read this? And I'm like, well, mom, can you take a picture of it? Can you send it? And I'm like, mom, this is not an emergency. And sometimes she called me at work. She thinks I'm on lunch. She's like, but you should be on lunch, mom. I am enjoying my lunch and I will call you back when I get home. No, I didn't watch Sisters last night. So we have these things. And what I started to do was like let her know, reassure, like, mom, if there's an emergency, call. But during the work hours, I will call you when I get home. And then we have that
Mm-hmm.
conversation and we can discuss whatever's going on. But I had to learn that it's okay to tell my mom no, like it's not an emergency. Call
It's so
you
hard. And honestly, that's been the hardest. Well, that was the hardest thing as well. Again, because my mom and I, as you start to get older, your relationships with your
Yeah,
parents
it changed.
change. You're no longer the child and the mother.
Mhm.
It's okay, we're both
Adult.
two adults and we have to navigate that. So my mom and I, we give you, if I call and I say, I just need 5 minutes. And my mom will say, okay, here's your 5 minutes. And I get 5 minutes to vent. I get 5 minutes to tell her who ticked me off at
Mhm.
work. But it's five
Mhm.
minutes. And the same, and the same. And then if I'll say, Mom, you're coming at me hot.
Mhm.
That means you're giving me a lot of information right now and it's not the right time.
Mm.
So I say, hey, Mom, you're coming at me kind of hot. Is it something that can
Mhm.
wait, or is it something that I need to address right now? And usually it's just, and my mom is my best friend. So usually it's just, well, I want to tell you about so and so, or let me tell, I'm at work, so I can call you
Yeah.
back. Is it important?
Mhm.
So again, it's still taking that moment to pause and to kind of set a boundary with a
Mhm.
timeline. 12 to 12:30, I'll give you a call back.
Mhm.
Hey, you get 5 minutes to say whatever it is you need to say, because sometimes people don't realize that when they need you, their energy gets transferred
Oh,
onto you.
absolutely.
And so if you're having a bad day and I'm taking that on, and true indeed, you are venting or you need help with something,
Mhm.
now in the back of your mind, like you said, your mom wants you to read this letter, your urge is to look at your phone to see exactly what it is that she may need.
Mhm.
And it's probably something that's so minute, but she needs you.
Yeah.
So that becomes the priority. And it's really not something that you have to address right now.
No.
So it's urgent
Mhm.
and it's emergent.
Mhm.
It's two different things.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had to tell her, honey. So we get much better. Much better. Oh, that is perfect. So tell me about your thoughts on mom guilt and whether or not you've ever experienced that with
Oh man.
working
Oh,
and implementing self-care and all the things, honey, all of them.
my view on mom guilt is that you feel like when you before you become a parent, hypothetically, you think, oh, well, when I become a parent, then I'll have it all figured out.
Mm.
Mom guilt is never ending, right? Sometimes you feel like you have a grasp on it, and then you always feel like as a parent, especially if you want to be a good parent,
Mhm.
it's always feeling like you can do more. When my son was born, I was actually thinking about going back to school to get my master's. And that particular time, I was going for administration, and I was trying to figure out what's the next avenue for my career. I got in school for a semester, and I was like, I don't think I like the politics of administration. And then I found out that I was having a child. I immediately re-enrolled and did the NP because I wanted to be more hands-on. My mom moved in with me for 3 years because I was a single parent at that time, to allow me to work at night full time, because as a parent, you can't go part time. You have bills to pay.
Yeah.
And then I went to school full time during the daytime. So that mom guilt was always there, because there was long stints of time, upwards of 24 hours, that I didn't see my child. So that guilt was there because during those formative years when he was a toddler and things like that, my mother knew how to comfort him better than I did. He has a certain relationship with my mother now, that he and I, now that I work less and, he has more of my attention, that I don't have with him. He has his own relationship with Mimi. So I'm grateful and thankful that she was there. But now that guilt is there, that a lot of those years of him being 1, 2, 3, I have videos, but I know that I wasn't as present. So now that guilt is there. So now everything I do in my life revolves around my son. I can't go. Marcel has a baseball game. I can't do this because this, or, so I try to make sure that he knows that I'm always present all the time. And I make, again, intentional. We do mom and son dates. He knows every year I'm going to take a vacation with him during the summer. So there's things that we do so that I'm being intentional about making sure that he knows that he's just as important as when he says, Mommy, are you going to work? If he doesn't, even yesterday, I had to go to work and he wanted to come with me. I'm going to take him to work with me. As long as there's a room that I can close the door and he can be next to me, literally next to me at a desk. He wants to. So I'm making sure that even though I am a busy working mom, that my child comes first. However, now that I am more settled in my life, mom guilt has gone down just a little bit. And I still make sure that I take him on his trip and that Tia gets her trip by herself as well. Because if you have kids, you do know that when you go on a family trip, that's not vacation for the parent. That's not vacation for you. You are entertaining them. So I make sure that I take my self-care trip to disconnect, to recharge and things like that. But it's, again, around his schedule when he is settled, doesn't have anything going on, or on break from school. So mom guilt has its ebbs and flows, but you just have to learn what works for you and that child.
And then being intentional about the time you have, it sounds like.
Absolutely. If he needs me, he knows we're going to go on a mom and son date. So we went to a Rockets game. We'll go somewhere I don't want to go, Terrin. We'll go to a slide park, a trampoline park. But he's the only child, so my knees may not sustain a trampoline for 30 minutes, but I'm there playing dodgeball. I don't want to, but he knows that I am present for him if he wants me to be there. And so I try to think of it as these years are not always going to be there. He's going to be a teenager and he's not going to want to spend that time or cuddle on the couch with me and watch movies. Now he wants me to watch Phineas and Ferb. That's fine. That's fine. So I try to do things where, I feel less guilty because I know that I'm actively sewing into our relationship now on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I love that. And you know what? One of the things you were speaking about, self-care trips, honey, I do those because I know that my life will not always be this simple. When I say simple, just focused around me. Like there will be a time where I will be married, where I will have children, and those individuals will be my responsibility. But for now, honey, I'm gonna have my self-care trips. I recently did a Virgin cruise right before Christmas, and I knew I needed it. Like I had some things going on at work and my anxiety was through the roof. Like it was bad. I was like, I need to get away. I put in my leave, got it approved, and did 5 days on this beautiful ship, met other solo travelers. So that was cool. So we created like a WhatsApp group and we were keeping in touch with things going on the ship, and would go to different musical events or different things they had going on, activities. And I needed that. When I tell you I came back and every worry that I had when I came back resolved, everything had gotten taken care of.
You're doing it and I did it backwards. So I didn't do that when I was single because I was afraid. You know how there's so many fears and people instill their fear onto you to where it makes you discouraged and you don't do it. So it's like, are you going by yourself? Girl, that's dangerous, you know. And I wouldn't do it for fear of someone else's fear put upon me.
Not even your fear.
So,
I ain't even scared.
and then again, and that was me. I was like paranoid. I was like, I'm little. There's so many things going on in the world. I don't want. But I made that a point to do when I turned 35 last year. I had been wanting to see Turks and Caicos, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna book the ticket and we'll figure it out. It was literally the most life-changing moment of my life because like again, my therapist was saying, she said, well, what is something that you wanted to do? If you can figure out how to do it, what is your excuse? What is the excuse that you're giving to not do something for yourself that you want to do? And it all boiled down to, I'm scared.
That fear.
And so once I booked the ticket and I explained to my mom, I explained to my husband, and I said, look, I need this for me. I understand you guys' concern, but I cannot not live my life because you're instilling your fears upon me. And I said, it was it was Easter weekend, 2023. I woke up on Grace Bay, listening to the waves. I went ate and I dated myself. I took myself on a date.
Yes.
Oh my God. I was like, I am expensive. But it felt good to be able to just, I got my beach bag and my journal and my AirPods. And I went and I literally sat on the beach for maybe 6 or 7 hours. And a young lady actually came up to me and she said, you are so pretty. I don't mean to be weird or stalkerish, but I saw her recording me. And she said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm writing my life story. And she said, you don't see many people just sitting and either reading or just writing. You always see them scrolling on their phone, for hours and hours. And I said, yes, I literally just wanted to listen to the sounds of the waves and take in where I was at that moment, my anxieties at that moment. And then from that moment on, when I came back, I was like, this is something that I'm going to implement in my household every year. So next month I'm going to Sedona and I want to see, I want to go to the Grand Canyon. So I'm going to go for 4 days to Arizona by myself and check off my bucket list things because I'm a better provider. I'm a better parent. I'm a better wife if I feel good about how my life is going. And so it's a must now. It's not negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. I'm going.
Oh, wow. I love all of it. Okay, so the next thing that I want to discuss with you is, and we talked about it a little bit, about how your self-care changed over time from when you were single to a single parent to now married. Can you share a little bit about how, as a clinician working with students, how are you all teaching the students that you care for, like those are now your patients, the importance of practicing self-care? Because I know that when we were in undergrad, there was no discussion about it. I would go over to the student health center, and at the time, I think they had a massage chair, and I would get in that massage chair. Yeah, there were like 2 black leather recliner massage chairs, and I would get in those, and that was about it. But even at Grambling, little did I know, I started to do self-care and didn't even know it. I would drive up to Monroe and spend the day at the mall and then go to Red Lobster and give me a little lobsterita and just enjoy myself. I didn't even know, like I would just, and I was like, wow, look, I was doing self-care before self-care was a thing, but because it's so stressful. Like I remember being in line at Walmart doing my grocery shopping with flashcards. Like this line is too long. Let me pull out these flashcards so I could get some studying in. But how does that look like? How do you encourage the students?
Back then, we didn't say the health center. We said the infirmary. I only went to the infirmary infirmary for titers for nursing school. So I didn't even know they had a massage chair. But for me, and this is why I said this job that I have now, I'm in my purpose, and I prayed for this job, and I feel like my personality and the person that I am, and the fact that I still look very, very young, allows me to reach my students, my patients, but my students on a more intimate level. Because normally, you know, if you're walking into a health center, it's usually someone that's a lot older, right?
Yep.
So for me, I bring that young energy. Okay, so what's going on? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll have a real conversation with them, you know, and I love that because a lot of the students that I have are international. They're already coming over from, I mean, you wouldn't, yes, from like it takes them 26 hours to go home, or they're staying up to 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference. That's actually when they get to talk to their families. They're over here and they're majoring culturally, they're majoring in things that they don't even want to do, but there are familial expectations of them to be a mechanical engineer, a chemist. And they're like, I don't even like that. I want to be a writer. But I don't have the confidence to tell my parents because they are expecting me to come home with a PhD. When I ask them, we do the PHQ-9 survey. And, you know, it's easy when you're doing it and you're looking at it. And are you sleeping more often than not? Are you feeling more hopeless? And are you eating too much, eating too little? And I'll ask them, is this how you feel every single day? And a lot of the times it's, I'm so stressed, miss, I'm this, that, and the third. And so we have 2 services on campus. We have CAPS, which is counseling and psychological services. And then we also have psychiatry, where, you know, you have the psychiatrist that can do the medicinal side if necessary. So I do let them know all of the resources that are available to them, but then I'll get down, eye level on my stool, and we'll talk. And some, you know, it's not even, sometimes I'm even the therapist, but sometimes it helps me to get down to the root of why they score so high on their questionnaires. You know, I always tell my patients, I said, I look at question number 9 on that PHQ-9 survey. I feel I'll be better off not here. You would be surprised how many people put several days. Why is it that you feel that way? What is making you feel that way? Right? So then they'll tell me, I have an arranged marriage. I don't want to be with this person. I'm taking 18 credit hours. I have to do work study. I have an on-campus job. I'm not sleeping. I'm stressed. And then sometimes, a lot of that time, it presents as not exactly that. As we know, it'll present as headaches. It'll present as neck pain. It'll present as back pain. I'm having blurred vision. Well, baby, how often, how long are you studying or staring at a screen? So I actually have a personal conversation with them, and then I'll tell them, I said, you know, and I'll give them some of the same things that my therapist has told me. You get one life. Your family may have expectations, but you're the one, after college, sweetheart, you're the one who have to walk into these jobs every single day.
Every day.
You're the person who will have to be this person's spouse, have children with them every single day. So would you much rather be upset with yourself, or would you much rather someone else being upset with you? What is it that you want? And I'll say, okay, well, sometimes, hey, if you can't afford a massage, a lot of times they have either food insecurities or money. They come with scholarship, but they don't have the additional funds to say, oh, okay, well, go get a mani-pedi. You have to realize we were broke college students, right? What? $100?
That refund hit.
Massage? So sometimes it's literally, I say, well, hey, do you have access to a tub in your dorm room? Yes. Take you a bath. Read you a book. Go for a walk. Things like that. Go to Herman Park. There's a beautiful park in Houston. Go to Herman Park, get you a blanket, lay out, you know, and there's a lot of free activities around Houston. They have musical theater and shows and things like that. So I'll try to get them to kind of tell me what kind of things that they're interested in, and then offer them resources. And then, of course, like I said, if it gets to the point where they're really, really depressed, sweetheart, let me take you down the hall. Let's get you scheduled with our psychiatric nurse to go ahead and get you a new patient intake. So that way we know what to do, because as we're seeing right now, this new generation, they have a lot more stress on them with social media, with all kinds of body expectations and all of that. They have so much more on them now than we did. And that was 10, 15 years ago. So you just have to make sure that you're relating to them on their level and being their friend. What is it that you need from me? come see me. If you feel, come see me. I would much rather you do that than you're suffering. So I just do my best to be human to them and not just the lady with the white coat. I hardly ever wear this in office. So I try to just, what's going on?
Yeah.
Tell me what's going on, just to relate to them in that way. So that's why I love my job so much.
Listen, honey, we didn't drop some pearls today. Tell these people how they can get in touch with you to stay connected. How can we reach you?
So you can find me at love_Deshae, so LOVE_DCHAE on Instagram. I'm Teih Taylor on Facebook, and I also have a website. It's called theresourcefulmp.com. So if you have any information or have any questions, primarily, even if it is about nursing or just in general about anything that we've discussed today, I have an open forum. I'll email back. I'm very responsive. And then there's also links to both of my books there as well. So you can find me in all those places.
And then if any of you lovely listeners would like to contact me, I am on LinkedIn as TC Ramsey. That's T like Terrin, C like Charming, and Ramsey, as well as on Instagram at _MadeInLove_13_4. So you can contact me there. And please do let us know. Please rate and review this episode so that Nurse.org will get an idea of, how you all enjoyed it. So thank you all so much for your time and for listening. As a recap, we discussed that, does this sit well with me? Okay, don't do anything that doesn't sit well with you. No is a full sentence, period. N-O, period. That is all. Let me stop you there. It's okay to set those boundaries. It's important to set those boundaries, and that you have one life. Enjoy the life that you live, and to be unapologetic about asking for what you need. So you all be well and practice self-care. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for joining Nurse Converse, brought to you by Nurse.org. Help us grow by leaving a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. Nurse.org supports nurses with career and education tips, life advice, and breaking news. Thank you for all you do and for being you.